Hello, Andre. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Welcome to the Soft Bites podcast, everyone. Third season and
Yes,
the first one of 2025.
yes. We are still recording on 2024, but this is going to be the first one in 2020.
True, we are ahead. We are we are ahead time.
How are you?
And I'm good. I'm good. Going through autumn and winter.
No,
But good. Yeah, it's cold here already. I don't know how it is in Portugal, but
it's starting to get cold because I'm bald. I'm a little bit more sensitive to cold in these last days, but yes, it is getting colder now. Yeah.
I'm more of a spring summer person. So
So am I.
and with the winter time changing, it's always yeah. So a time of more uh, resting and more going inwards. But yeah, everything is well. Everything is well.
All right. All right. So the topic today is a practice is a long-term game.
The dental practice is a long term game. Yes.
I would say any business is a long-term game. Any project is a long-term game,
Hmm. And I think
especially
that
teams.
And I think that also we can say that even dentistry is a long term game. I mean, even if you
Yes.
don't own a practice,
Yes.
dentistry is also a long term game because the way that you start your profession, I mean, you know nothing about it. It's not only technically, but also business wise. Even if you never get your own practice, even if you end up not even being a practice owner, but you have to know about business because I think that financial freedom is one of very important thing on for
Yeah.
for dentists.
Yeah,
And
we could
also,
actually we should record a podcast on actually we did already something about saving money, right?
we talked
And
about it,
some
but not specifically
yeah, we should have
on
one.
saving money.
We should have like a guest on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I and I was saying this because when you suggested this subject for us to think about, to talk about, I immediately thought it's not only the dental practice, it's a long term game. It's the profession, it's the dentistry profession
Mm.
also. But especially for the ones that own a practice, I can imagine, and you have that experience of how long do you have your practice? Almost 20 years.
Uh, it's 2005. Yeah, almost next year is gonna be 20 years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And uh, how is it now, 20 years after? Is it mature?
I think it's starting to get mature. It definitely adolescence is starting to pass. I mean, it's much more predictable, much more peaceful, much more calmer. So I think that the hormones from the adolescence are starting to fade away, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing. I mean, looking back, there were. Uh, yeah, I think the first 10 years, yeah, especially the first 10 years, are scary, and it's you want to prove yourself, you want to be financially stable. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of uncertainty still. But yeah, I think that as time goes by, eventually, and also because you also change as a person, right? And you start to become more confident, calmer, and also successes. Your confidence is feeds on success, right? So It's one thing that feeds the other, so you get more confident because you're more successful, and then you get more successful because you're more confident. So it's I think just like every skill in life, as time goes by, you'll become more things are more predictable because you've done the mistakes, and you 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 become at peace with them, and in the end just become more confident, and confidence will eventually bring success. That's it. And also, I mean, it's just like you have to build your patient base, right? uh, so these things take time, and of course, the more patients you have, the more likely you can have more patients, because it's basically word of mouth that will feed your practice. I know that today things are a little bit different in some countries, but I think that at the end of the day, what makes our practice sustainable is the word of mouth. So yes, things are very different now than what they were 10 years ago. Absolutely, completely different. I think that the challenge is, if I knew what I know now, would it be possible to do something different? And I'm not sure about that, because I think that you have to go through the steps, which is of course what we're going to talk about today. Things take time, and it really is a long term, and I don't think that you can become a more mature person, a more mature leader, a more mature dentist by just taking advice. I think that you have to do the mistakes, and I think that you need to have the skin in the game. I think you have to go through things, and advice is of course important, but at the end of the day, what gives you calm and confidence, I think it is going through the mistakes. Yeah, so that's why you have to play the long term game for sure.
Hmm. 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 And do you think it's because it has so many daily demands, right? And especially when you are the owner of the practice. So you are a dentist and also running the practice. That might get in the way of you to be able to plan, to have a strategy, to have a vision for your practice, and then all the days feel like a sprint, and and that you end up
Yeah,
getting lost
yeah,
in the in the
it's
game.
true. Yeah, it's true. I think it's one of the things that really strikes me, one concept that really strikes me is this: it's very difficult for someone that is 10 or 20 years down the road in the business, down the road in a business, to give advice to someone that is just starting, because the things that I am living today are very different from the things that I lived like 15 years ago. And I don't know if I completely remember how I was like, so that I can give advice that's actually productive. So I think it's tricky to say, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done this, I could have avoided this, I could have avoided that. But I think that at the end of the day, and this sounds like a cliche, but it's true. I think it's the person that you become by the mistakes that you do. So you at the end of the day, you have to do mistakes. Now, you were asking the fact that it's very busy in the beginning. Most days are very busy, right? And you work mainly as a technician, and it's difficult for you to plan ahead and to do management and to do leadership well, and to think about marketing and setting goals, and stuff like that. It's very difficult in the beginning. So yes, I think that's that layer as well. It's difficult to do a lot of things in the beginning, so you just get lost in the rat race, in the daily rat race. So I think that is also true. That is also true. This is why that we tend to give this advice to all of our students in the podcast or in the courses, which is, once you start the practice, it's very important that you think, uh, don't be like 100% treating patients all the time. You need to set maybe 15% of your time or 20% of your time just thinking, just doing management, just thinking about leaderships, thinking about goals. I think this is really important to work not only in the practice, but also to work not only in the practice, but also work the practice. So you really have to do that. And I think that we all do this mistake in the beginning, like you were saying. I mean, we just get completely knocked out by the daily routine, the rhythm is so fast. You need to make money, you want to see patients, you want to be there. So yes, for sure you get lost. And I think in the beginning you get a little bit, so you lose the sense of the long term. You are just working for the day-to-day money, let's say it. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. And I I think it's also because it's the starting of a new year. I
Hmm.
at least always do like the annual planning, and I sit and I try to to clarify a little bit
Hmm.
my vision, my goals, and create.
Do you write them down?
Yeah, I write everything down. I write
I
everything
do
down,
as well. Yeah.
and it helps me to stay aligned with my with the vision and the goals that I have for that year. So I think that um I think this is very, very, very important, to go through this, at least through this 4 steps that I just said, to clarify your vision and to have
Hmm.
really a vision for about your dental practice, for your dental
Hmm.
practice, for if
For
you
your
don't
life.
own a, yeah, if you don't own, even if you don't own a dental practice, for your dentistry practice, for your life, what kind of also of kind of impact you want to make, what kind of lifestyle do you want.
Hmm.
um,
How many hours you want to work a day?
mhm, mhm, and that will help you to set goals, and with that vision and with those goals you can create you can break uh, those goals into small steps, into smaller steps, and make a plan, and that, like I said, will help you to stay aligned with your vision. And also, of course, you will be able to review your plan and to make adjustments according to what will based on what you are achieving, right, and the progress that you are making. But I think that especially when you have a dental practice, and tell me uh, if I'm wrong, because but I think that especially when you have a dental practice, it's very important for you to have this vision, to have this goals, because if you are supposed to to motivate your team, if you are supposed to engage your team in that vision, in achieving those goals, if
Hmm.
you are not clear about them, you are not
Hmm.
never going to be able to pass that
Yeah.
to the people working with you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I never thought about that in that sense. I always thought, okay, so if you have a very clear vision, um, things are gonna eventually, directly or indirectly, become closer to that. But I never thought about the way that you are saying, which is for you to for your dream to be contagious to people around you, you need to make it very clear. I completely agree with that. Yes, you need to make it very clear. You need to be able to articulate that, but before articulating that, you have to first think about that. Think about what's the exact kind of place that you want to build. What's the kind of team. It will never be exactly what you plan, but what is the style? How do you want to feel when you get into the place? How do you want people to interact with each other? What kind of patience, what kind of energy do you want to feel there? Is it an organized place? Is it more a chilled out place? I mean, you have to think about that, number one. Number two, you have to write that down. You have to write that down, the style, the details. the vibe. You have to really write all that those things down, and then you have to be able to communicate that to other people, because at the end of the day you will need a lot of people to make your dream come true, right? And you have to be able to articulate that, and without thinking about that and without writing that down, is there something magical about writing things down, something that comes from your head to paper? There's something magical about that. It's just like halfway. So halfway until you get to until you succeed is already done. And then because this is not a single player game, this is a multiplayer game, then you had to articulate that to other people without being apologetic about that. You have to be bold about that. And of course, you have to let other people participate in that dream, and and make it and let them contribute to that, because at the end of the day, it's never gonna be a unilateral goal. It's never gonna be a unilateral style. There are other people that are gonna come inside your team, and it's gonna be like a blend. It's gonna be hybrid. It's things are not going to be exactly your dream, but that's also the beauty of that, is that you bring other people and you get your dream richer, let's say. And it's not only about you, it's about other people, because at the end of the day, this makes no sense. It makes no sense to have a successful business if people around you are not happy, and you don't feel proud of them, and you don't feel them grow, and you don't feel them comfortable in what you have developed. I think it's just like something I was thinking about that today. Actually, I was thinking about when I was getting out of the practice. Uh, I was like, so they were, so it was like the end of the day, and they were just chilling and laughing and telling jokes to each other. And I was just there, I was just there, just taking care of my own stuff, quiet. And then I just left. I just said see you tomorrow, and I just left. And I was thinking about it. I was thinking like, actually, this practice is no longer mine. Uh, this practice is as its own life, because of the blend of people that work in it. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because it can never be only about you. At the end of the day, it's going to be always about the people that that uh, that you surround with. But of course, that in the beginning, it's a very single player game. It's much it's you feel very lonely in the beginning. But I think I got
Yeah.
lost in the
No, 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 it's okay. Can you identify the phases of this long-term game?
yes, absolutely, yes. I think that I don't know the exact number, but I think that in terms of assistance, I think that there are, once you cross, I would say, I once you cross 4, 5 assistants, it's a completely different game. That's what I think. I'm not talking about dentists, but once you cross like 4 or 5 assistants, they it gets the practice gets its own individuality, because you can no longer uh, you can no longer be the center. It's there's a lot of things. Just the fact that you have 4 people working with you as assistants means there's it's busy, starting to get busy. And there are many patients that I never knew. And there are many things that happen in my practice that I will never know, and I don't need to, right? There are many problems that are going to be solved without my intervention. So this is where I think that the practice gains a soul of its own. And I think it's a very beautiful thing to see that other people are micro leaders inside the practice. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I will probably say that after 4 or 5 nurses. And it depends on the amount of time that you need to reach there. For me, it took me maybe 10 years to reach that. It took me maybe 10 years. Maybe in some other countries, it can take less, it can take more. But I think that the number of people is what makes the difference, because a big group has a different energy, and you have to in a small group you can pretty much control the experience now because you are present most of the time. In a bigger group you can be present, but you need to make your presence unnoticed, or not important. You need to get out of the way physically. You need to step a little bit back and let things work the way they're supposed to. Of course that you need to manage stuff. And even today I just took some notes from an email that I need to send to other people. But for example, one of the things that I started to do recently, once my because at the moment I have seven nurses slash assistants. Um, one of the things that I realized is that I can no longer be the one that uh, that points out negative stuff, or I wouldn't say negative, yeah, negative stuff that needs to be improved. So I think that you as a leader, you have a tendency whenever you are calling out someone because of this, of that, you have the tendency to do mistakes. First of all, sometimes you are not calm enough to talk in private. Number one. Number two, sometimes you are just a little bit too energetic and you talk in a tone of voice, or you send that email in a tone that's not appropriate. One of the things that I'm doing now is that I have a, a middle player, let's say, which is the nurse that's taking care of the admin. I just talk to her. So this needs to be improved. This needs to be improved. This is the list, and she will feel when is the best time to tell that to the specific person or to the whole team. And it's a completely different thing because it's like it's going to be softer, number one. And number two, I think it's going to be more productive, less reactive, because she's like one of them. And the way that she's going to talk to them is going to be, I think, softer and probably more productive. So that's one of the things that I started to do over the last, I would say, 2 to 3 months, which is also one of the stages of growth that has exactly to do with what we are talking about. Once you hit that threshold of 4 to 5 assistants, things they become completely different. It's like you enter in the practice is working, you are just there, just doing your thing. You are not the most important. I mean, you're not the rock star. The practice has its own soul, and it just keeps feeding itself. Of course, you need to be aware of what's going on and to make sure that the culture is still there, that the protocols are still there, and so on and so on. Yeah. But I would say that yes, 4 to 5 nurses it makes a big difference.
Mhm. Um, uh, I I want to know what you think are the most important things that you have to
Mhm.
to take care of, that you have to really have um, to have those things working well in your practice for you to be able um, to achieve that state
It
that
can
you were
feel
talking,
like peace.
to
Yes.
feel like to feel like peace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that having a complete control of the patient workflow is fundamental. So, and it all starts with initial examination. We talk dozens of times with that. So that's mandatory. So I think that everybody in the team needs to understand how the machine rolls. What's the system behind? And the system cannot be chaotic. There needs to be an order. And that order is very simple. The patient contacts you, is booked for initial examination. From initial examination, the doctors talk together. Talk together, there's a treatment plan that's generated. The treatment plan is presented. The patient says yes. And then you just follow through the treatment plan, follow all the steps, going to be this and this and this. And of course, then there are micro systems. How are things paid? How are things written down? I mean, you have to imagine all that. I mean that's one of the reasons why we gave the course, right? Because you have to make sure that you need to balance your emotional tools with daily practical tools, right? So, and the daily practical tools are of course the systems. You have to make sure that the systems work, and you have to make sure that everybody understands that the system is the soul. They need to understand that the more systematic things are, the less they will work, the sooner they will go home. And so they need to understand that there is the system is the most important thing in the practice. The system is what allows peace and security and financial security, emotional security, avoid working late working hours. So it's all about the system actually. So there needs to be a culture. Everybody needs to understand that the system is the most important thing. That there is no freestyling here in terms of course that there's also room for individuality, but the system is the system, right? And without that, you're completely lost. If you don't have things articulated in your mind, if you don't have things written down, if you don't have regular meetings with staff, it just it's a complete chaos. It's just not worth it. It's not possible, you know. But it takes time, of course. Yeah, sitting down, writing things. No one likes to do that, especially today that the attention span is very difficult. So writing down a document of 100 pages, it takes a long time. You know, it's that sitting down and writing down stuff for a few hours, focus on that for a few weeks, for a few months. It's very difficult. Not very people are capable. Not very much. Not that much people are capable of doing that.
Mhm. Yeah, but it's on the core of everything, like you said, and only if you have those systems in place and rather running smoothly, then you can have space for the other part, for fun and creativity and all of that. So good systems in place. We also have said that, and finances have to be in order. You have to be very self-aware of the financial state of your practice. You have, I mean, you have to have a healthy
Hmm.
financially practice, and you have to feel that otherwise we already talked about this when we talked about money. Otherwise it will always be in the background, the money part. We also talked about the vision. You have to have a vision, and this vision, when we talk about vision, it's also a clinical vision, right? That's, and it will also be the kind of technology that you want to your practice to have, the what kind of dentistry do you want to practice, and your practice staff, because nowadays we know that a dental practice, it's a multidisciplinary. So you nowadays you don't refer so much to other practices. So
Exactly.
nowadays one practice have all the specialties together. So I think that's important for you also to have that vision. What kind of practice and what of kind of
Hmm.
dentistry and technology do you have to have?
Hmm.
And then people, right? So team. So it's very important to surround yourself
Hmm.
with the right people. And we talk about a lot about the difficulty also that nowadays some dental clinics have to 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 find and to keep the the staff. Um, and and what do you think? There's something missing here. We talked about finances,
Yes, I think
systems.
I think there's one thing which is trusting the process. Just do the best that you can and just trust the process because you will. It's going to be hard for. I think that you're going to be lonely. For you're going to feel very lonely in the beginning, and also throughout. I mean, I think one of the biggest things about leadership it is uh, no one is gonna be there to save you. Uh, and I don't mean that the people don't care about you. I mean, of course they do care about you, but the problem is that, especially if you are someone that works hard to achieve things, you will always have the sense that you are not being valued or respected or praised enough. I think that's always going to be present, especially in the early years. I think that you always, oh, I deserve more because I worked a lot. I did this and I did this. I deserve more praises. I deserve more respect. I deserve more recognition. I deserve, and I think you have to get over that. I think that you need to see you need to embrace the mistakes, and you need to to drop the need to be praised, and you need to, and to be, there's one thing that we talk about our course, which is how do you how to have other people, how to make sure that the people have the same passion for the business that you had. And actually the answer is no, it's just impossible,
It's
you know.
impossible. They will
Uh,
never.
yeah, and you cannot demand that from a human being, you know. It's you just have to, I think you have to surrender. I think one of the most important things about leadership and about growth in general is you need to surrender to. So one thing is, there's one thing that I like about the book Meditations, and Ryan Oliver talks a lot about this, about stoicism, which is stop asking for the third thing, which is, you did number one, you did something good. Number two, someone benefit from that. And the third thing is the praise or the credit. So stop asking for the praise or the credit for that. Because I think that is where the that it's a complete trap, you know? It's a complete trap. If you think about that, you wanted the people to respect you and to credit you and to praise you, it's never going to be enough,
Mhm.
and it's very volatile. It's never going to, and of course you have to enjoy the victories and so on, but you also have to understand that uh, the world doesn't give a shit about what you did in the past. You know, no one gives a shit. It's just about the way that you are treating them now. So it's not because you are full of medals from the past that you can be a dick with other people, or you can be very you can be, uh, I don't know, you can be disrespectful, or you can be, you can be like an asshole to other people, or you feel, and it's very easy to feel that just because you have achieved something. It's very easy to feel that you are special, or that you're a leader, and to have that pose of a leader. But at the end of the day, no one gives a shit about what you did yesterday. It's always about the way that you treat them now, and you should never expect praises for that. Of course, you need to have the good financial return for your efforts, but I don't think that you should attach your success to credit or praises or anything like that. I think the most important thing is the two first things, which is make something that is good, do good, make sure someone benefits from that, and make sure you stay healthy, both physically, mentally, emotionally, to keep providing these two things. And when for you to stay healthy, it means also financially healthy, to keep doing good things, so that other people can benefit from that. And but you need financial security for that, of course. But the third thing, that the credit and the praise, I think it really is a trap. So I would add to all of the things that you said. I would add, yes, just grow and develop yourself as a person until the point that you understand that you are not more important than anyone else. I mean, you have the right to enjoy the the results of your success, but you are no more important than anyone else. And I think you have to come to terms with that sooner or later. And for myself, and I think that it helped me a lot to read a lot about this. It really helped me a lot, because I think that, for example, this year it was a very successful year for me. Really, really a successful year in a lot of different areas in my life. And I think it's very easy for you to think that you're someone special, or this and that, and I think that's very dangerous emotionally, because once you get attached to that, you'll realize that's a very volatile feeling, because tomorrow someone's going to do better than you, and you're not going to be the same, or you have an health issue, or people just forgot about you. There's someone that comes that's much better than you, and you should not be attached to the fact, oh, but I did this, oh, but I created this. No one gives a fuck about what you did in the past. Just about the way that you treat them now. So yes, I think that the last thing would be, just don't ask for the third thing. Don't ask for the credit and for the praise, and just embrace the mistakes and embrace the fact that you are no more important than anyone else in your team. I think I think that is the way that people will give you more love at the end.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, also I think what happens in the history, another just to add to the traps that you are talking about, the another trap is to expect others to do the things the way that you do them. And when you expect others to do exactly the same, because you do it well, what you do works, so others have to do exactly the same things that you do, and it's not like that. It's different, different
There need,
people.
yeah, there need to be standards that everybody agrees on. That
Yeah.
the team, I mean, we all agree that this should happen, right? But you cannot ask them to do the stuff that you did, because the business is yours, and no one is as attached to that as you are. And it's impossible to ask them to do some stuff exactly as you did. It's impossible.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, just to go back to what you said, because I think it's very important, and it was the last thing that I had here, is that for you to be able to play this long game, you have to be well also. So if you just play the sprint, the daily sprint, then you end up burned out. So it's very important that you add together to all of this, your to really invest in your physical and mental health. You have to take good care of yourself. Otherwise this game will end up yeah,
Yeah.
taking a
I
big
think
part
that
of you.
I think that we have to have emotional education. You know, um, emotional education. It's very important to understand how, or to try to understand how your mind works. To to be open to mindful practices. To understand what mindfulness is, and I don't think that today any leader can ignore this huge part, because it's, yeah, maybe some people, they were born in families where this was talked at the table, stuff like that, but it's very unlikely, right? So, and even if it is talk, I think you need to have some training or some curiosity on this sort of subject, and we see a lot of that today in the students. That's a big part that's missing. Yeah, and also because it's not like just you go to a course and all of a sudden you become enlightened or something. It's just like it's a long term path that you need to embrace the
Yeah,
the, the, the
it's part
emotional
of
part.
this long term game that we are talking about.
Yeah.
So it's an ongoing training. I mean, you learn it. There's techniques, and they are very useful. But then, if you don't practice them, if you don't practice them in an intentional way, if you are not intentional about certain things on your daily basis, then yeah, the game
So
will
if the,
wear you out.
in the students that you have in terms of mindfulness and emotional well-being, I mean, you do a lot of one-on-one and group coaching on that.
Mhm.
How long do you think it takes for someone to start seeing the benefits of being exposed to 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 these layers of mindful? Yeah.
Usually, what the study says is that it takes 8 weeks training for you to be able to start developing some self awareness. So this means those 8 weeks are only for you to be able to recognize the automatic pilot.
Your own
So
patterns, yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
and your own patterns. But you have to keep going. You have to keep training. You have to, because for example, on just on those 8 weeks, if you do, imagine if you do the training of the mindfulness training of 8 weeks, on those 8 weeks, it's given to you four kinds of the mindfulness meditation. So we are talking about the body scan, so body awareness, focus attention, open awareness, and compassion. So, and this is a lot for 8 weeks. It's a lot
Yeah.
for 8 weeks. So that means that every 2 weeks you have a new meditation, you have a new training, you have new exercises. So, and that's the reason why um, so many people that I work with, they start with this, with the basic training, and then they keep afterwards. They keep on working with me, or they do the way 8 weeks training, and
Mhm.
they choose to continue the exercises, and then when they feel okay, now I'm ready to continue, because there are certain, the automatic pilot, it's so rooted, that it's sometimes it's very difficult. And when we start to recognize, for example, the bias that we have, when we start recognizing the patterns, when we start recognizing to how what serves us better, just the difference between focus intention and open awareness,
Mhm.
just not in meditation, but how can we use it on our daily life and
Mhm.
the daily practice. Just just the for you to be able to to connect with people in a different way, and to be able to see how judgmental you are towards the reactivity that you have towards others. And all of this takes time, and all of this needs practice and intention, and for you to be very intentional every day. But you know that, because you do it, and you practice
Yeah, but
practice
it
it.
took me. It took. I didn't have any structured teaching. It's an ongoing process, but it took me a lot of time, and it's still today. It's something that I need to keep practicing. Like you were saying, for example, one simple thing, which is, am I being too judgmental? I mean, are my emotions distorting the reality here? Which is
Mhm,
very,
mhm, mhm,
and
mhm.
it's very typical at
It's
the end of the day.
uh, for example, at a certain moment, I always work with the circle of awareness. So for you to take the circle of awareness for to your daily practice. So basically, it's for you to be aware of your thoughts, your emotions, your physical sensations, and your behaviors. But you can only do that if you are already have a certain if you are already s- developed some kind of self-awareness. For the ones that are not used to do this, it's not just because they read a book or are listening to
Mhm.
our conversation that tomorrow they are going to be able to pay attention to all of this.
Mhm.
But the fact is that when you start to pay attention to this, you can really start really lower your reactivity, and start responding in a more skillful way
Yeah.
to the situation, and also connect in a more meaningful way with people.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, it takes training. I'm going to tell. I don't know if I already told this story here on the podcast. Maybe I did. I'm going to repeat myself. But what
So good.
did this was the first course that I gave of mindfulness of for dentists. So it was around the pandemic or pre-pandemic, and and then I there was one colleague that continued to work with me, and after all of these years, I encountered him, and he said to me, Manuela, it works, but I have to remind myself every day to do. But it really works. So yeah, it's an ongoing. It never ends. It's a long term game. It's part of the game. It's part of the game. Yeah. You have to remind yourself every day. You have to be intentional to be
That's
present.
so funny, isn't it?
You have to
Yeah,
be
like just
intentional
like
to be
everything,
present.
just like
You have to be
everything.
intention
It's not
to
like just you click a button and you become that for the rest of your life, right?
no, you have to be intention to cultivate optimism, for example, because in
Yeah.
dentistry it's very easy to take things to have the negativity bias, to enact the negativity when you even are not aware of it. And when you start to just pay intentional to to pay attention in an intentional way to the good things, then you shift completely, and it's just such a simple shift, but you have to do it in an intentional way. You have to every day, like my colleague said, every day you have to remember to look at the good things. Every day you have
Yes.
to cultivate a culture of gratitude in your
Mm,
practice. You know, this is a
mm,
simple exercise. Every day in your practice, everyone has to say
mm.
something that they are grateful for, so or something good that happened, and this completely shifts the energy of the practice, and this completely shifts the energy of this long-term game also that we are talking about.
Yeah.
So
And
for you to
and you as a leader, you are even more responsible for to make sure that these things are happening. Yeah, because they will mimic your behavior. Like
completely
this.
but that's part of the long of the long-term game, also Andrea, lead
Mm.
by example.
Yes, yes, yes. And it's so this is why it's important. The daily practices are important, like journaling or affirmations or meditation. This is why it's so important for you to
This
connect with yourself
practices
daily.
these practices that you are talking about are part of the mental health that we set.
Yeah.
So for you to be able to take, I always say this also, or even on our course, I say this. So everyone knows nowadays that to take care of your physical health is important, right? So you have to have a physical activity, and the ones that don't have feel guilty about it because you know it's important. So, but people are still not aware of the importance of taking care of their mental health,
The
because
emotional part.
when I ask them how do you take care of your mental health, they still have difficulties on answering their that question. So it's
Yes, it's true. We we
meditation,
we neglect that. We neglect that.
journaling, silence. To be in silence
Yeah.
in a profession like dentistry is so important to be in silence, to cultivate gratitude, to be able to even contemplation. You know, just or to be able to move in a mindful way, to have some kind of practice where you can connect with your body and really feel that connections, in order for you to be able to recognize the warnings that your body gives us, because when we reach a state of exhaustion, our body already gives us so many signs, and we just ignore them. So if we have to have these practices where we are able to connect with our body, so that we recognize the messages that our body sends to us. So I think that's very important to really to say that this that yes, the dental practice is a long term game, but if you don't take care of yourself,
It's daily.
yeah,
Yes.
it's not going to be a successful game for you, because
And
you can get
it
lost in
can
the
even
process.
yeah, it can even be a good financial success, but at the end of the day, if you feel without purpose, if you feel very lonely, if you feel no one understands you in the practice, if you feel none of the staff likes you or or feels gratitude towards you or you feel gratitude towards them, if you don't have this sense of well-being and accomplishment, it's just not worth it, is it?
Hmm.
So it's just not worth to have the bee house or the Porsche or the money in the bank or the. the vacation that you like. If then you come to work and it's just not a place that you feel good about. Yeah, and it's one of the things that, and we feel this a lot. I mean, when we work with students, we have a lot of students that have been in the game for um, a long term, and they just let things happen without intention, and they are sometimes in a very difficult place to reverse the situation, because it's much more tricky. It's not impossible, but it's trickier to go and fix a team, let's say, that has 10 years of bad habits. I mean, it's just not like that, you know? And we see a lot of that. So this is why it's important to be preventive. I mean, this is not, you don't feel, don't need to feel desperate if you have like a practice that has been with bad habits for 20 years. And you don't need to feel that there's nothing that you can do about it. There's always things that you can do about it, and the sooner the better. But it's the errors, they become cumulative, and and then it's very difficult to reverse them. And sometimes we see a lot of dentists that are just burned out in and sometimes some of them are not burned out, but they are just not very optimistic about life in general and about the profession. So was it worth it? Maybe not. Yeah. Maybe
Mhm,
not.
mhm. Think also that but what we are saying here is that if you make the mistake of getting caught up in what dentistry sometimes is, right? So it's so demanding that you
Yeah.
start running on automatic pilot. You start living your profession by default. And what we are saying is that you can live your profession by design. So actually, if you waste, which is not waste because you will have the benefits of that, but if you waste some time on really clarifying all a vision for you and for your practice, and if you really put a system on place, and if you invested a little bit also in yourself, in developing the emotional awareness and the self-awareness for you to be able also to bring that to your team to lower your reactivity, then you can have really you
Mm.
can build your vision, right? You can build your dream, like you said, and you can
And
live it.
one of the things that I think that happens a lot today, and there's a lot of people thinking differently, but sometimes we see, especially in our courses, we see, okay, we start to think, we start to expose them about what different kinds of successes feel like. And sometimes I think that people don't realize that, or actually they come to realize that what they thought was successful, which is to have a good car to show to their friends, to make good vacations to show to their friends, to have a big house to show to their friends, to dress in a certain way to show to their friends. So I think that sometimes often happens is that when you really start to dig into these things, you start to realize, okay, so I am making this money for what? To impress what? To impress my friends? Maybe it makes much more sense to invest more in my team and to do the things that actually make me happy, not exactly the friends that I want to impress. And I think that's something that in between the lines, I see a lot in dentists, especially in young dentists. Of course, there are many different ways of looking at the profession, but there's this pattern in dentists which is money driven, success driven, um, lifestyle, show off. And I think that once you stop and really think about that, and of course we all want people to like us, everybody, we all want that. But at the end of the day, what we really want is to have some connection with other people, some real connection with other people, with friends, with the staff, with family, with whatever. And I think that. this is an important shift that I sometimes see in students, which is okay. They actually yes, there's something completely different that I can eventually pursue without necessarily being just the money. That there's just way more in dentistry that can fulfill me with maybe connecting more with my team is one of them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I totally agree. I totally agree. I think dentistry is so much, so much, so much than that. And I think that there's a good exercise to do that is by to write. Again, we go
Mm.
back to journaling, right? Just write every day for a week what does success means to me. And you will see that you end up you will end up in the end of the week writing something completely different from the things
Very simple,
that you start.
much simpler. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's you really will see that the first things that you write is they have nothing to do about with what you end up discovering what really success means to you.
Mm.
Okay.
That was a good one. That was a good one to start.
Thank you so much. It was really nice as usual. And I'm just going to end up saying that we have, since is the first episode for 2025, we have a new date of the Conscience Leadership course in Sagres that is going to happen on the 23, 24th, and 25th of October of
All
25.
right.
So
And that's a good place to start. That is a good place to start if you're curious about all these things that we talked about. It's a very good place to start. It's a very good place to start because I think it can be the beginning of a journey. Maybe you have started it already, but it's worth it. Honestly, it's worth it. It's worth to come and be with us and with the group. I think you will come out richer as a person and with a lot of ideas that you can implement in or at least think about those.
yes, and especially because we joined together the systems with the self-awareness, with the mindset, with the people connection, the team. So we bring together all of this, and these 3 days really of really good connection also,
Mm.
and really good brainstorming. So if you want to join us, just go to softbites.online, and you have all the information there. Thank you so much, Andre.
Thank you, Manuela. We are gonna see ourselves. But yeah, we're gonna record next week, and then there's the Amsterdam course, which happened, of course, last year. But we are also looking forward for that.
Yes, it's the first edition, and we hope to have a second one in 2025.
All right.
Bye bye.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for listening. Bye.
Bye bye.